Suki, Chicago-based artist, now in Austin, bringing y'all Canvas Layers, the podcast. Today, episode 2, we got Kendra Lee, amazing artist, also known as Black Fruit. We got her in the building today. She's an amazing artist, like incredible. The work is fucking outstanding. We about to tap in with her, see where she at, see what upcoming projects she got, and just get a little bit of insight about her story. So,
thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. I've been following you ever since branching out as an artist, so it's nice to know that there's a connection there and we can reciprocate it and just show each other love out here.
Of course. Your work is very intricate and very different from most artists. So, I want to start off by asking you, where did the name Black Fruit Art come from?
So I knew doing this, I wanted to really honor the creative women in my life. I like to think that I come from a bloodline of creative people and healers. Like my aunts, they all sing, they all sang in the church. My mom could sew, could draw. My grandmother would write, would do children's poetries and things like that. So I really wanted to honor that, but also want to expand on the idea that being a Black female, I know what it's like to come through generational trauma.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the poem Strange Fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. This is where it gets deep.
For sure.
Yeah, so when I was coming out as an artist, I wanted to make a brand that not only honored the idea that we've come out of this generational trauma, but also the idea that it wasn't in vain, you know? I literally thought of, you know, our people being lynched and their blood and nourishing the soil for us or the future generations produce Black fruit. They still don't like us because of the color of our skin, but once they get a taste of us, we're hard to resist.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, that's what I'm running with.
That is fucking incredible. I don't even know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. But that's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So your medium, like you use Procreate, correct?
Yes.
How long have you, well, let's start off with this. How long have you been creating and how long have you been using Procreate?
So I've been doing art my whole life since I could pick up a crayon. But Procreate I started 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 in February.
You sitting up here telling me that this amazing work is only 2 years of fucking work?
Yeah. Yeah.
You cold. You motherfucking cold. Give us a little bit of insight about, okay, for example, we were talking before the episode started about how, you know, I was like, don't you got a blue piece like this?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that stem from, these specific pieces?
Yeah, so Nikki Giovanni has a poem called When I Die. And I got turned on to Nikki Giovanni through a Randall, I think it's Dudley Randall, his book, The Black Poets. And her poetry just speaks to me because it's straight to the cut, like cutthroat. It is what it is. And so I really liked that poem that she had because I have experienced, which I think a lot of people have experienced, you know, that toxic love or being betrayed by someone you didn't think you were going to be betrayed by. And I thought that her words really encompassed that. So I wanted to literally draw how I visualized her words in that poem and came out with those three images. But all 3 are distinct in how the first one is like, if someone were to cry after me, I hope that the maggots fall out their eyes and eat their flesh and stuff like that. And then the last one, it ends on the note of, you know, showing an evil that I tried to love and, you know, coming to the realization that, you know, you can love on something for so long, it don't mean it's gonna treat you and love you back. So
absolutely,
that's what I poured into those pieces. And
so, yeah. Okay, so your colors are very, very, very vibrant. Even without light, they are coming out as if they're glowing. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how did you come about? Like, what made you say, you know what, instead of just doing this central image, let me add this different type of feel to it so that it's almost, your work is coming out at the viewer immediately. As soon as they walk up on it, before they even turn the corner and see the whole thing, it's coming out at the viewer. So, if you'd like to expand more about that, like, tell me a little bit more about why you did that. Like, why you made those colors so vibrant to the point where they're coming out at the viewer.
Well, for the longest time growing up, you know, being Black, it's like our color standard of beauty isn't what the status quo is. Uh-huh. And you get told, well, certain colors may not look good on your skin and so on and so forth. Uh-huh. And I thought, well, with art, you know, anything could look good on any type of colored skin, so let's just play around with it. And like playing around with colored light and how light hits on different surfaces and different hues and tones and stuff like that. So I wanted to incorporate that into my work, and especially since the majority of my work features black people or black skin, you know, I thought our skin color looks popping off of some bright ass colors. Exactly. So why not highlight that in art and show like we look just as good in real life like this too. Like I am just putting out what I see in us, to be honest.
I resonate that very deeply because I don't know, like it's something about black art. It's something about black art. You feel me? Like it's something about the pain, the story, the struggle, and the happiness, and how you get through that. It's something about that just looks good when it's created by a person of color. And like I said, I have a similar story. Like I knew I wanted to tell our stories. Mm-hmm. I've lived in places due to the military where like it was not black friendly. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's kind of and I was younger, so I'm just kind of like, fuck, I don't really know what this is because I'm from Chicago, so it's like Chicago is a melting pot. You're gonna see Asians this way, white people this way, black people this way. You're gonna see a enormous amount of people in one space, and nobody, you know, is like nobody feels away, but. And even though Chicago is fucking segregated, but it's still like everybody can pretty much coexist in the space. You can go to our show, you're gonna see every race there is at our show. But I made a choice, like, let me paint black characters, but not making things that weren't already black. I have done that in some instances, but that's not my goal. Right. Just recreating stuff to make it black. I'm trying to start a whole new series of work that features black people or black characters or black little creatures in different spaces and showing how we have our place in the world. Yes. So I really appreciate that you're saying like we like especially the black fruit thing, like how I mean, granted, I don't think we're an acquired taste, but we're a fucking acquired taste. Yes. We're not for everybody. We're not for everybody, we're not for everything. And that's fine, like that's cool because we know who we are, we know our flavor, we know our soul, we know our ancestry, we know who the fuck we are. We walk in the room, whether we're an artist, a dancer, a model, a photographer, we know who we are. But I can appreciate that because like you're bringing a different spin to it because this is more in-depth art. It's not like you capture a black face doing, you know, mowing the grass. Like you're capturing art in the essence that makes it so beautiful and so powerful and bringing this light. You're adding these different colors and these different hues to black skin that we don't, you know, we look at each other and we see certain things. We may see a certain tone or whatever, but this is bringing out a different type of vibe, a different type of, like, the one at the top is my favorite, the devil with the skull that's going to the water. Like her skin, there's several different tones to emulate who she is. I love it. Tell me how the LED lights came about as a thing for you.
Well, when I figured out that the way I choose the colors on Procreate and how I would choose the particular paper to print it on, worked with it, I was like, well, let's see if we can make a little something out of this. And so I've played around with those two pieces and now just have a smorgasbord of ideas on how to incorporate light into my art more. Because to be honest, at the end of the day, I think in some sense that all artists are multimedia artists. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love digital art, but I still love to craft with my hands. Yeah. I can't get enough of like working my hands in something and things like that. And so I'm starting to think, okay, maybe I could play around with light in different ways. Like maybe have the light coming from a different side of the frame or behind the frame or, you know, just different ways to play with the color and how the light picks up on that. I don't know how else to explain it other than just experimenting with it.
Of course.
Experimenting with it.
Art is definitely a process, more an experiment than well, I ain't gonna say more one than the other because a process is a process, especially as an artist. But experimenting is a huge part of it. Yes. Like just seeing like what could go wrong? Like this could go wrong or this could go right. Let me just see. And putting that out there, but it's a type of boldness and courage you have to be able to even do it and be like, let me see how this works out for me. Yeah. Also, you know, we haven't done this, but shout out to the people like where they can find you to see your work.
Oh yes. I do have a website, www.blackfruit.art, and I also find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at blackfruitart.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So Kendra, I remember when I fucking met you, and you was off to the side. We was at the AJC show. Shout out to Chaz and Aisha. Thank y'all so much for creating a platform for us. Appreciate y'all. And you were just like, yeah, can I be by outlet? Because it's like, if you need extra light, you can be by outlet. So I was intrigued immediately, like, why she need an outlet? What's the outlet for? What's that for? Let me see. And then, you know, a couple of days later, we do the show, and I remember your shit was set up, but you wasn't there yet. And I remember I was mad because I was like, where's she at? Because, like, it was so cold. I was like, where the fuck she at? Because I just wanted to give you your props and give you your flowers in that moment because I didn't know what to expect. You were just off in the corner, off to the side, kind of shy, like, yeah, okay, can I have an outlet? Okay, cool. And you ain't say nothing else, like, can I do that? And that was it. But I appreciate your artistry because it's very bold, it's very intriguing, it's very thought-provoking. And I can tell it takes, a certain amount of time to make this happen. Like, but, I'm telling you this as an artist and as a friend. Put yourself out there more because you cold as fuck and you have nothing to fucking worry about. You have nothing to fucking worry about. It's like you have it immediately, and you're coming from a very genuine, authentic place. We often talk about art. We never talk about the authenticity of it. Like let's be authentic when we create. Let's not take something from somewhere else. We can as inspiration, but let's not copy it.
Yes.
You feel me?
Yes.
Let's be a full-blown artist. They say art is nothing without imitation, but fuck that. Fuck that. I'm sorry. Hell no. You can still be original. I don't give a fuck how many ideas have already been created. You can take something and be like, I love this. Yes. And you could have an idea based off something else and make it your own. For me, it's color. Like the first thing I see when in a painting is color. So immediately from color, for me, it sparks an image. So I'll see like your glasses. I'll see something green, and I may think like it's crazy because it made me think about a piece I'm working on like a treehouse with money trees on the side. Ooh. So when I look at your glasses, I think about that. So it's like for me, it's like color. I don't see a full piece and be like, I'm gonna take this and make it my own. It's like I see a color, or I'll take a small part of the painting or the image or whatever, and I'll make it into something completely different because it sparked a completely different idea in my mind. And I think that's what you're doing with your work too, because I have never seen anything like this. As long as I've been creating, even other people who've seen your stuff, like nobody has ever seen what you're doing. No, nobody's ever seen it. So I want to ask you now, like, what do you have any plans or upcoming projects for 2023? You know, we hitting the home stretch. Today is December 23rd. We hitting the home stretch. So going into 2023. So do you have any, even if it's not, if you have any projects, do you have any goals that you want to knock out for 2023 as a Black woman visual artist?
I was like, what project am I not trying to complete? Yeah, actually, there was an art call that I'm very intrigued in, and it's funny because we were talking earlier about work that kind of gets tossed off to the side and you don't revisit till the later. Well, now it's that time where I have some pieces that I'm gonna revisit for an art call for actually Richard's Art Gallery. He's doing a Black History Month exhibit that I'm really interested in, and so I've been sitting on these 3-4 images that I put them on my website, but they're very much in work in progress, nothing concrete, but it's going to expand on Strange Fruit and kind of reclaiming the images that were put out to destroy us in that regard. For anyone that doesn't know, they used to send postcards of us hanging in the trees and, you know, what I'm saying? So I'm, very much into like reclaiming
our space in the art world, because you have to think like, did you watch the documentary, I think it's like on HBO Max, like The Absence of Light? Like, it talks about how there's always been a huge absence of Black art in the world. It's always been a thing. You know, like you got to go to an underground art show to find some good Black art. You feel me? But the fact that like now we have these platforms, we go put it out. We got this Black art. I'm not gonna hold you. From my experience, and I ain't gonna hold you, from living out here, I've got turned down from shows because I've had several people tell me your work is too Black, it does not fit the aesthetic. I never had nobody even boldly tell me that. They'll just be like, oh, don't fit the aesthetic type shit.
Right.
But it was, certain curators. And it's like, all right, but that shit fucking hurt my feelings because it's like, I am fucking painting for my people the same way all these other artists created this lane for other black artists to create work and be in this space. We're all fighting to have our work in the space, because if we go back to traditional art galleries, there is no fucking black art. It does not fucking exist. And we are the ones that's creating for the future. You know, like the kids coming up behind us, when they go to art galleries, I want them to see our shit. The black art, the weird art, the crazy art, the what, like, I want them to see all of it and know that was a black artist that did that.
Well, it's like, if you think about it, I don't want to like go this route, but it's on my mind. When
you can go there. You go there. Go there. This is the podcast. We going there.
You think about these museums. Yeah. Think of the art that didn't come straight from the artist, but they obtained through other means. Yeah, that's our art. That's our art that they took. So it's like, why am I gonna?
I know a lot of people ain't gonna want to hear this, but I'm gonna say this shit out loud because a lot of people know it. I love Picasso, but he stole from African art. He created when he went into Cubism, he was stealing from black art. I still love Picasso just as the same, but it's fucked up. You feel me? But it's because in the era that he was creating, there was no black artist like, no, bro, move to the side. Right. I got this. I'm going to depict our people in this light. Like, he was taking things that we had already created and he made it his own. Respect, my guy. But also, you weren't depicting none of these characters as black people. Now, I would have had a different respect for him if I took this from what I saw and now I'm going to create it and make it black. Even though he's not a black artist. But that's what we go through, like.
That's the blueprint.
Yeah, that's the blueprint. And we gotta find our way through a lot of shit in artistry, like, you know, but at the end of the day, it is always like, it touches my heart. It's always a huge thing for me when a black artist can sit up here and say proudly, I make black art, because you will be in spaces where they do not want you to be proud of the art that you make. Or they'll look down on. I've had shitty ass fucking stares at certain things. Like, I remember one year's, like, I think 2017. It was 2017. I was living in New York at the time. I flew to Chicago for my first Pancakes and Booze show. I was like, I'm gonna do it in Chicago. Like, I did in New York. I had a ball. Let me go home and do it. Right. And it was around a time where a lot of people were getting killed because of police brutality and whatever, like getting shot down by the police, unarmed black men, whatever. And I remember I made this piece on a canvas, but I'm like, I know I can't bring this big ass 24x36 on a plane. So I took it off the wood and I rolled it up, but it was like a person that was kind of like slumped like this. Mm-hmm. And he had a TV head, and the TV head was like that weird, like those color blocks, mm-hmm. But he was slumped like this, and he had on the sweater, and the sweater had bullet holes in it. And I will never forget the looks on certain people's faces that were not people of color. There was looks on certain people's faces when they saw that, because they was just like, but it's like, it's true.
They don't like looking at the truth.
They don't like looking at the truth. They don't want to hear it. But this is at the time, around that time when I first started painting, I started telling these stories like, this is what's happening to us. Because I understood a lot of people were scared to speak up. And I'm like, I'm not using my actual voice to speak up about it, but I'm using my artistry to speak up about it. And it made a lot of people who weren't people of color supremely uncomfortable. And I didn't care. I got X'd out of an exhibit. They were like taking content. They took pictures like from the side. So say this is the front. Mm-hmm. Like, so say I'm right here, like taking it from the side, so you can't see the full picture, because they didn't want to post the message that I was sending. And I remember they called us up to the mic like, tell us about your work. And I remember saying out loud, like, you know, this is for people who have black people who have something to say, who feel too scared to say it, or they don't feel like they don't have a voice, whatever. And that was my fucking motivation. I'm like, I'm gonna tell this story. Right. And my work is not as controversial as it was in 2016. I ain't even go hold y'all. I was making all type of shit, making people mad. But I didn't care, because I'm like, it was so much happening. I come from a family of all men. So I'm thinking about them while I'm creating, like, well, this could happen to my brother or my cousins or my uncles, like, whatever. And they were not feeling that shit. And what's crazy is I was in New York. So it's like, and I know New York is a big ass fucking melting pot. Like, I get it, but it fucking sucked to be in that environment thinking like I would have the backing that I needed, and I didn't. But it still fueled me. So I ain't even gonna hold you. I watered it down some, and I stopped making controversial pieces, but they're coming back at some point.
I was like, nah, don't water down.
I'm doing a collection now, but that ain't got nothing to do with that. But I always I promised myself to circle back around and tell those stories. just based off of my own experiences. Like, even like, I remember this one time it was like 2 a.m. I got pulled over back home on Stony Island, fucking going back to the crib, and motherfuckers pulled me over because he couldn't see my temp plates on my car. And it was in my window. But it was the winter, that's why it was in my window, because it was like, it kept coming off. So I put it in my window, and he couldn't see it. But he was like, had his hand on his fucking gun, like he was about to put his gun on me. And it's like, I want to tell that story on canvas. I want to tell the story of how terrified I was and how I cried the rest of the way home because I thought this man was going to fucking annihilate my ass.
Right.
Just because he didn't see my fucking plate. And then he was sitting back there like, well, I guess I don't got nothing on her. Blah, blah, blah. I have so many experiences with that, like, that I want to bring to light. And it's going to be a part of my controversial pieces again. I said, I will always revisit that, because my young self, when I first started painting, I'm like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna say this shit. And now I'm a little more cautious, but it's like, art shouldn't be cautious. Art should be bold, and it should be fucking uncensored. I always believed in that. And I feel like your work is very uncensored, because even like this, to the naked eye, that would make somebody like uncomfortable. Like, what the fuck is this? What is she doing? But also, you don't know what the story she's telling. So how about you engage with the artist and figure out what she's saying and take in what she's saying? Because this is one of my favorite pieces. Those two definitely. But this is fucking beautiful because it captures the essence of a black woman. And I feel like, is that the third eye at the top? Like the third eye beaming?
No. You talking about this one, right?
Yeah.
No,
like right here, that doesn't sound
I'm a
really
huge
third.
anime fan and love Naruto. And
Okay.
I wanted to make a black character in the show, so I was like, here is this chick who wants to be so desperately a part of the clan, and that's their little symbol, so she carved it into her forehead. I was like, y'all didn't accept me, bitches. But then there was like, nah, you still too black. And then so she linked up with the other outskirts of the society, so.
Alright, I got a question though. Are you gonna keep that going?
What do you mean?
Like, is this gonna be a series of this character?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I think you should, because if you're placing yourself as a black artist to make a black character for Naruto, like, I think you should keep that going so that people can know, like, this. Tell her story. I think you should tell her story. Hell yeah, tell her story, because you have this already, this backstory of this piece, and I think you should keep it going. As her putting herself in the way of, like, okay, this is, hey, I want to be a part of this,
right,
but also inserting black art into anime, because why the fuck do we have enough black anime? Where the fuck is the black anime? Where you can totally be like, this is what I'm watching, you know what I'm saying? Like, just creating these different lists and these different paths for ourselves. Like, we have to have lanes for black people in general, not where we always gotta mix and mingle with other people, but we need to have these lanes where we can exist by ourselves without having an attachment to other people, other places, and other things. And I feel like you did an amazing job of depicting this. But also, I got a question too. Up top.
Yes.
That one.
The Love Bomb.
The Love Bomb. Ooh. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, it's actually part of a series called Love Realities that I made. And I took common love idioms, but turned them on their head because I'm a domestic violence survivor. And became real familiar with the ugly side of love. And I was wanting to just say, hey, like, here I am. Here's a person who's experienced all these things. It's okay. You're not alone. Like, even if we might be strangers across the internet waves, you can still reach out to me. Like, I know what it's like to get your head bashed in at 3:00 in the morning in a parking lot. Like, it's okay. I survived. You can survive too. But I just poured all of my experiences and thoughts into Love Realities. And that one actually was my favorite one to make, Love Bomb. And it's the idea of, you know, it's something you so desperately want, that love and that affection, and you can just like reach out and touch it. But as soon as you touch it, or as soon as the fuse goes out, all hell breaks loose. And this is entire aftermath. But it's the like, you get drawn into the beauty of it, the want, the yearning, the love. Like, oh yes, this is everything. You get drawn into the pretty parts. Yeah, you get so drawn because the pretty parts are so pretty. You can't not touch it. You just kind of like, let me just. I need, like, you're drawn into it. I appreciate you sharing that, because that was a very vulnerable fact to you know, expose. I hope you expand on that as a series, because I feel like, especially as women in general, lesbian, gay, straight, whatever, like, if you're a woman, you go through certain things in your life domestically that isn't fucking okay, and nobody is
there is no platform where people are really talking about it. We have the social media, but it's talking about it on, like, we got these reels, we got these TikToks, whatever, but this is an expansion of that, like, where somebody can be like, I look at this and I realize I'm a survivor. I want people to purchase work from you and look at it as like, I'm a survivor, because it's not dark. It's not dark. Not at all. That's why I asked you about it, because it's not dark. It's not like you look at it and you be like, oh, fuck, I'm sad. It's like, oh, shit. But when you find out the story behind it, it makes you feel like, I'm a survivor. I've seen this. I've experienced this. And this is my silver lining. Yes, definitely.
It's hard for me to separate some sort of profound, deep meaning from my art.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me to just, draw something on the fly and not think about the compounding factors that go into it.
It's a connection with your work. Like, having that connection with your work. I was telling my boy or whatever, like, I used to be so scared of being vulnerable with my pieces. Like, I didn't want to tell people my story. I think it was fear of judgment. But when I started telling these stories, I realized more and more people resonated with the same shit I had went through, whether it was at that same time, previously, or whatever. Like, people were resonating with the story I had to tell. And I feel like that's important because, like I said, my whole thing with art is healing, because it's been healing me. It's still healing me through a lot of shit. So having that openness to be like, I'm going to create this, and then someone sees it and they can heal from it. That is the goal, like, because one story is not just one story. One story resonates with 1 million people. Yes. And we just don't know, because everybody walking around acting like everything cool. And some people are not, but they're not. I get it. Like, we're not gonna fucking put our hardships on social media. We're just not gonna do it. And I get it. We shouldn't have to.
Right.
But if somebody's at home posting how happy they is, but deep down they're fucking hurting, and they see a piece of art and they're like, God damn, I need that. We got to give it to them. Yeah. We got to give our experiences to them. So I applaud you for being vulnerable, because it is hard. Like I said, I followed myself for a while. Like, should I fucking put my vulnerability in my artwork? Should I fucking do it? But so it's like,
do it.
Exactly. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. You feel me? Like, okay. Like, it ain't nothing to it but to do it. Okay. So that's what I had to do. Like, don't worry about what everybody else think.
Exactly.
Because it was like one piece I created, and I'm like, a lot of people was fucking with that shit. Like, nigga, I feel the same way. And I'm like, okay, well, I could do more of this, because I'm putting myself in a position to reach other people. And the thing about it is, a lot of times people feel so much relief when they know it's not just them. We go through shit and we feel like it's just me. But when you are putting yourself in a position around other people, and you're putting out a message, and they see that, oh shit, this came from a certain place, they can resonate with it. And it heals people, because they're like, okay, whew, all right, it's not just me. I've been feeling like this for a while. I couldn't tell nobody. And that's how people acquire pieces from you too. They'll relate to your work. Like, I feel like a lot of people will resonate with your work and buy these shits right off the wall. Like, let me get that. For real, because you're fucking incredibly talented. So it's like, they're gonna, talking to you, a lot of people, they'll engage with the artist, like, okay, what does that piece mean? What did this piece derive from? And then once you tell them, like, the origins of that painting and how it came about, you will see the look on people's faces, like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They gotta be like,
that's the face I look
shit,
for. Yes.
Because they not gonna come to you with their story. They're gonna come to you asking about that piece because they see something in it already. And they just trying to make sure they ain't tripping. But all art is open to interpretation. Like, my stuff, like, yeah, I'm telling my story, but it's not the story. That's my story. So if you look at it and you see something different, that's how you resonate with it. I will never take that away from a viewer. You're like, viewing my art, and they be like, well, that's not what I mean. I would never do that. You feel me? Like, I'm be like, if you see that, good. Because I am an abstract artist. Like, yes, there's concepts in it. But whatever you pull from it, who the fuck am I to say, nah, you don't resonate with that. This is what I meant. Like, no, because everybody pulls something different from every piece. And I feel like you and your work, the stories you are telling are also opening up other stories that are currently going on with other people.
I hope so.
And I have a massive amount of respect for you, because like, I can look at your shit and tell this ain't no fucking, I did this shit in 2 hours type shit. Like, you didn't sat down, you didn't put your thought into it, you didn't put the work into it, and you made this shit happen. And I ain't even gonna hold you, I ain't never seen nobody work look like this. I ain't never seen nobody work look like this at all. I've seen illustrators, I've seen graphic designers, I've seen all type of shit. But this is a different type of artistry, and I really, 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 really hope that in 2023 you are putting yourself out there more. You are coming with the confidence, coming with your work, and you're putting yourself on the forefront for people who need to see your work. Like, you have a deep story behind it.
I'm trying. I actually signed up for an incubator with Yoon Inc. here in Austin, and we're exploring Web3 and NFTs and stuff like that. And so pretty much with talking to my group and stuff, I am gonna look to utilize my vending opportunities to help people start thinking about Web3 and give them another element of my art besides just the prints, because on top of that, I can dibble and dabble and animate, and I know how to cut a video.
See? So I'm bringing you back on this podcast to talk a little bit more about that. I'm gonna let you take some time to develop that.
Gotcha.
But I really want to bring in the other talents you have as well, because like we talked about it, no artist just does one thing. Like, I do photography, but for myself, because I like how shit look, but I'll never be like, I'm finna go to photography school, I'm finna get it. No, it's all for me. If I post it, it's for me, and if you want to buy it, that's cool, but I'm not looking for you to buy it, because I just like I like immortalizing things. I really like, just like, you could be talking and you could be excited, and I can see you in the corner like you're excited, and if I could capture that moment, I'm gonna capture that moment of you and your excitement, whether it's you expressing your work or anything else. Like, I really love like that. And I do other things, like I don't just paint on canvas, I paint shoes, clothes, bodies, faces, whatever. Like, I paint a bunch of shit. Yeah, you feel me? So like, I don't just, when people be like, oh, what's your medium on canvas? I was like, that's one of them, but I also paint all these other things. And then you don't know until you come to my house. You come to my house, you gonna see a painted phone, you gonna see some painted shoes in the corner, you might see a painted piece of furniture, because I just push myself beyond that shit. Like, sometimes it can't go on canvas for me.
Right.
Sometimes I need something else, because this piece, like, say we're using this podcast stand this tripod stand as an example. And I'm like, this is a tripod stand, but I want to make it more and not paint this. This is for me, because like, I feel like it could be more.
Right.
So that's where a lot of my extended artistry comes from. It's just like wanting to paint everything and make it beautiful. Like, wanting to take ordinary things and make it extraordinary. And also seeing other artists do it, because I feel like y'all are like out here. I ain't gonna hold you. The Austin art scene has been incredible. You know, I came from Chicago, from a plethora of amazing fucking artists, but to come out here and see shit done differently has been a fucking sight to see. I ain't even gonna hold you. Like, it's a sight to see. So I'm so happy you came on board with me. You brought your work. It's fucking incredible. It's beautiful. Tell the people one more time where the fuck they gotta find you at. If they trying to buy some pieces, let them know. Let them know who the fuck you is.
It's Kendra Lee with Black Fruit. You can find me at www.blackfruit.art. Also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at blackfruitart.
Let's go. So we had Kendra Lee on the podcast today. She brought some beautiful pieces. 2023 about to be a very big thing for us in Austin. Like, we about to take over. So if y'all ain't tapped in, tap the fuck in now. Get in with these artists while you can afford their pieces, because at some point you ain't gonna be able to afford this shit, my nigga. So tap in with these artists. Kendra Lee, thank you so much for fucking coming. Thank you for bringing your work. Your work is fucking beautiful. Keep going. Keep doing you. Keep being you. Keep telling these stories. We need these stories. Don't ever let anything knock you off your square. I know you say you only been doing it for 2 years. Yeah, when you go into year 3, year 4, you start questioning shit. Don't let that shit bother you. Do what you gotta do. Keep going. Keep thriving. We love you. We fuck with you. We ready to see more of your work, especially with Paradox. We about to have some of your pieces in here whenever you ready. Like, let's do it. Let's get it for next year.
Oh, well, thank y'all so much. Just hearing that y'all exist, I'm like, oh yes, we need more Black-minded businesses to help bring us on. Not to say that I've ran into gatekeepers and all that in Austin doing art and stuff, but it's hard to. You just know some things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's a similarity there that you can't find in other spaces where you're not already at the table. You know what I mean?
Course. Well, let me just say, to close this out, I'm a huge fan of your work. I cannot wait to buy a fucking original from you. I'm gonna need the lights. So you have to hook me up with the lights. I need the lights. Gotcha. So I can't wait to buy an original from you, and I cannot wait to see what you're doing next year, because I already know you're about to take over in Austin. So it was amazing having you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's Ricky with Canvas Layers. We out this bitch.